Inside Huntsville with Brenda Martin, a conversation with department heads at City Hall on streets, ball fields, public safety, and more. And also with our community partners that add economic security, support education, and enhance the city's quality of life.
Hello, I'm Brenda Martin with Inside Huntsville. I'm pleased to bring you another informative show. Spring has sprung, as the saying goes, and mosquitoes are breeding. Cheryl Clay is with the Department of Public Health and is the Environmentalist Vector Control Supervisor. Cheryl, welcome, and thanks for being here with us.
Thank you.
It's early. It's good to get this information out early to the public, is it not?
Yes, definitely.
And the reason?
Well, we'd like to go ahead and get the information out because the mosquitoes are breeding. So we like to go ahead and get the public educated about what they can do to protect themselves from mosquito-borne viruses.
Okay. And even though the weather is a little chilly right now, but the sun is out.
Right. We did have some warm weather, and of course, the temperature does drive the mosquito population. The warmer it is, the more quickly they go through their development cycle. So even though we are having cooler nights, that'll slow them down some, but the warmer days will continue their activity.
Okay. Well, we've got so much to talk about today, but first, let's share your contact information with our viewers.
The telephone number is 256-532-1915, and our web address is www.huntsvilleal.gov/vector-control. And my email address is cheryl.clay@adph.state.al.us.
And of course, we'll have that up on the screen for our viewers. Now, what are some of the services that the Vector Control Department provides to our viewers?
Well, the Vector Control Division of the Madison County Health Department is solely funded by the City of Huntsville. So our services are we provide mosquito control and rat abatement for the City of Huntsville, and we also do animal bite investigations for rabies control.
And probably this is a good time to indicate that you only service the City of Huntsville.
Yes, because we're solely funded by the city.
Because I know so many times you get calls from the county.
We do, and we definitely do some educational advisement, but if they're looking for mosquito control services in the county, we do direct them to their county commissioner, or if they are a smaller jurisdiction that has their own mosquito control program, we direct them to those folks.
Okay, great. Now, last year when you were here and you spoke about two different types of diseases, West Nile and the chikungunya.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a tongue twister there.
Yes, it is.
And it's caused by, of course, mosquito bites. Can you give us an update on
I sure
them?
can. Well, West Nile virus is here in our bird population and has for many years, as it is in many parts of the United States. So West Nile virus infection is not uncommon. We did have several cases in Alabama last year. There weren't any in Madison County, but that's to be expected for each year. Chikungunya last year did not have any locally transmitted cases in Alabama, but we did have one travel-related case in Shelby County. So we're very glad that chikungunya is not a part of our local mosquito population at this time.
Okay. So here we are in 2016, and we have another virus.
Yes.
Okay, called Zika.
Yes.
And that the public, of course, is concerned about. It's all over the news, and I'm sure you're getting a lot of calls about it as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I understand that there are no locally acquired cases in the U.S., but there are over 300 travel-related cases reported?
Yes, that's correct. Zika virus actually was first detected in 1947 in the Zika forest of Uganda. Most outbreaks prior to 2015 have been in Africa, Southeast Asia, or the Pacific Islands. In 2015 is when outbreaks began in the Americas. Currently, outbreaks are in Mexico, Central America, South America, the Caribbean. There are no locally transmitted cases at this time in the continental U.S. What locally transmitted means is the virus is not in the local mosquito population and no one has received the virus from being bit by a local mosquito. However, there are several travel-related cases. We've had 3 so far in Alabama. That's to be expected. It just means the individual traveled to a country where a current outbreak is occurring and was bitten by a mosquito there, received the virus, and came back to the United States.
What's interesting here, though, is that, you know, when you and I talked not too long ago about doing the program, there were only 100 cases.
Yes.
Now there's 300 cases.
Right. Well, you know, travel-related cases, just to be expected. People are traveling all over the world, and,
Sure.
and they may pick up the virus when they come back home. We've actually had 2 travel-related cases in Alabama of malaria this year.
Is that right?
So, you know, travel-related cases are not that uncommon. What you want to be careful of is you don't want those travel-related cases for those viruses to become part of your local mosquito population. And with Zika virus, thankfully, the main carrier of Zika virus is the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which we currently do not have here at this time. We used to, but we haven't found it for a number of years. However, we do have plenty of the Aedes albopictus mosquito, which this virus can transmit.
Well, while the Zika virus has not been spread by mosquitoes in the continental USA, we still need to know how to protect ourselves from mosquitoes.
That is correct. Just a little bit more information about the Zika virus itself. You know, the symptoms are fever, rash, joint pain, conjunctivitis or red eyes. You can have muscle pain or headache. The symptoms of Zika virus itself are generally pretty mild and may last just a few days to a week. And only 20% of people who are infected with Zika virus actually have symptoms. So they may not even realize that they are ill. What makes Zika virus so much of a concern is that it can be transmitted sexually. A man can transfer the virus to his sexual partners. It has been implicated in transmission with blood transfusions, and also Zika virus has been implicated in birth defects, most commonly microcephaly, where the babies have small heads and underdeveloped brains. So that's the, you know, why Zika virus is a major concern, and we hope it doesn't become you know, become a part of our local mosquito population. So the main thing that folks can do right now to protect themselves here locally, if they're not traveling to a Zika area, is to, number one, you know, make sure they're not breeding mosquitoes on their property. The mosquitoes that carry Zika are Aedes species mosquitoes that actually like to breed in small amounts of water and containers around your property. They're not the typical floodwater mosquitoes that are out at dawn and dusk. They will come out and bite you during the day. So it's very important that people practice what we call the 3 Ds, which is drain, dress, and defend. Drain being survey your whole property. If you find as little as a teaspoon, that can cause a problem. There's so many things that can breed these types of mosquitoes. We encourage anyone to go on our webpage to look at some of those things. But you know, tires are one of the biggest problems, so they should be stored covered where they cannot collect rainwater or just remove them from your property. Children's toys, wheelbarrows, buckets, cans, bottles, magnolia leaves, bird baths, your little potted dishes below your plant.
Yes.
A lot of folks, you know, have a problem with mosquitoes and have lovely yards and no items stored in their yard, but lots and lots of flower pots, and you lift up the pot and there's like thousands of mosquito larvae right there under their flowers because they go out and water every morning. So a lot of people don't think about that. Very, very important. So, you know, once you've drained your property, then you have to dress. So if you have to be outside when these mosquitoes are active, you need to wear appropriate clothing. That would be long sleeve shirt and pants, light colored, because mosquitoes are more attracted to dark colors. You want it to be loose fitting and tightly woven, less of a chance that the mosquito can penetrate to your skin to bite you. And then you also, you know, need to wear shoes, socks, that kind of thing to be covered up. And then the defend part comes where you've done all of that, now you need some insect repellent. So, you know, folks should use an EPA registered insect repellent. The most common ones are those that contain DEET, picaridin, IR 3535, or oil of lemon eucalyptus. And then another part of defend is, you know, maybe you're not breeding the mosquitoes in your yard, but maybe, you know,
your
neighbor or somebody close by, you know, there's something going on, and you're still having a problem with your yard. Well, the adult mosquitoes, particularly these Aedes mosquitoes, like to rest in shady, low-lying vegetation in your yard. So you can do a barrier treatment on your vegetation from products you can buy at your local hardware store or online. Other things you can do are, these are mosquito dunks. These are actually a larvicide that takes care of the mosquitoes while they're still in the water where they lay their eggs. And these are great for things that you can't dump out, like maybe a really heavy bird bath, or your swimming pool. I was going to say, So, or your swimming pool that you're not going to operate. You can use these to take care of any mosquito larvae. And the interesting thing about swimming pools, they don't always breed mosquitoes. You've got, you know, a lot of different things going on there. But
do you purchase those?
These can be purchased at your local hardware store. They can be purchased online. One little donut can treat 100 square feet for about 30 days. And we'd be happy to advise anyone that might be experiencing a problem with that. But the main thing for folks to do is practice the 3Ds. And of course, if they actually travel to an area where there's a current Zika outbreak, particularly if you're pregnant or planning to become pregnant, you have to, you know, take extreme precautions not to get bitten by mosquitoes.
The 3Ds.
Yes.
Drain, dress, and defend.
That's what we need to be doing here at home to prepare.
That's great. Okay, now, after doing all this, if a resident still is experiencing
if you're in the city limits of Huntsville and you think you've gotten everything taken care of, you know, the most important thing is to avoid getting a mosquito bite. So please call our office. We offer courtesy yard inspections. You know, we're not here to get people in trouble. We're here to keep you healthy. So if you invite us into your yard, we will look around. We may find something you have missed, or if you're having a specific issue, we can help advise you. We're here mostly for purely an educational role on how to keep you and your neighbors healthy if you're having a problem.
That's a fabulous service. For you to go out to
so far we're able to do it. When we get a lot of complaints, it might take us a couple of days to get there, but going to the owner's property and looking at where they live and giving them suggestions and is the best way to help them and educate themselves for life, because really we have to take precautions personally to protect ourselves from this type of virus.
Because, you know, so often as you were talking, I was thinking, kind of visualizing as I drive around Huntsville, you know, you see these tires and you see these different areas where mosquitoes could breed. And,
definitely.
You know, I'm sure people don't even think about it.
Well, a lot of people don't. A lot of people aren't aware of the mosquito life cycle. You know, their first stages are an aquatic life cycle. They lay their eggs. The 80 species of mosquitoes that carry Zika actually lay their eggs on the inside of containers above the water line, and they just sit there and wait until the water rises up, either through a rain event or a human being adding water, and then the eggs will hatch into the larvae. Then you have the pupa, and then the adult emerges from the pupa. So if you eliminate the water, you've taken that necessary component from the life cycle and you've taken care of the problem before the mosquitoes become flight ready.
So how long does the mosquito season last?
Well, the mosquito season here in northern Alabama is going to depend mostly on temperature, but under typical conditions, we'll start seeing the floodwater spring mosquitoes breeding as early as February, but March is very common. Just depends on how quickly it gets warm and stays warm. And then most of our mosquitoes go dormant usually by the end of October, again driven by temperature. Once particularly the evenings start to get way down in the 50s and stay there, you won't experience as many mosquito problems. But most of our mosquitoes, some of them overwinter as adults, adults, but most of them overwinter as eggs, just waiting for the next rain event in the spring. They're very hardy. Yes, they're very hardy, so they're just going to wait.
Well, I know you offer a number of services in vector control, and one of the services is fogging.
Yes, ma'am.
And explain fogging and how it works, and how often is it done?
Fogging is, is just one of the tools in our toolkit. It's not a cure-all situation for all mosquito problems. It's just a part of our program. But what we do, and we have been doing this already, is we start surveying the city for an adult mosquito population. Of course, early this time of year, we also are surveying the city for larval populations and treating them while they're still in the water. But there comes a point where you're going to have a lot of mosquitoes in flight. So we survey the city, and once we meet our threshold for fogging, we begin our fogging program. Usually, again, it's driven by temperature, but usually we begin fogging in May, mid-May, usually goes through parts of October. But, basically the fog truck comes down your road and the fog exits the back of the truck, and under ideal conditions, it goes about 150 feet on each side of the truck. So the fog comes in contact with adult mosquitoes that are in flight, and you have pretty much an instant kill, and the fog is only in the air for a few hours. So it's not a residual treatment, it's a one-time air treatment for mosquitoes to help knock the population down. However,
Does it help?
Yeah, well, it does help, but it's mostly geared towards the floodwater mosquitoes that are more active at dawn and dusk. These Aedes mosquitoes that carry Zika and chikungunya and dengue are more of your daytime biters that are breeding in containers down in your backyard. And typically in the evening when the fog truck comes through, these mosquitoes are taking a nap.
They're taking a nap.
Yeah, and they don't typically fly too far from where they breed. So the fog truck has its purpose, and it's great for the type of mosquitoes that carry West Nile, and there's plenty other viruses that are actually here. West Nile's here, La Crosse encephalitis is here, we have several of those that are already here, and the fog truck helps for those. But it may or may not, depending if these mosquitoes are flying around at that time, which we operate them 7 p.m. to midnight. But that's why when you're having a problem and you think you've done everything you can, and the fog trucks come by and you still have a problem, it's best to call us, because not one treatment fits all mosquito. We need to see what species you have, and then we know more about its life habits and know, okay, this might be where it's coming from. Because if you can find the source, you've taken care of the problem permanently.
And there's been times that I've been outside when the truck comes. Should I be concerned?
Well, no. The products we use are tested by the EPA, and it takes about 10 years to probably get a product out on the market. So they're extensively tested, and actually the chemical that we use over a whole acre of land, you only have about what would fit in a thimble of chemical over a whole acre. It's called ultra low volume. So it's almost like a mist. So there's very little exposure to people. But one service we do provide, if folks are concerned to just prefer not to be out when the truck comes by, or out walking the dog or something like that, is every day by 5 p.m. I go on our webpage and I load in where the trucks are going to be that night. That's something new. And that way you're like, oh, it's going to be in my area tonight. Maybe I'll walk the dog tomorrow if that's a concern for you. So I highly encourage anyone to use that service we have available. And another service we have, because a lot of folks want to know, when's the last time the truck came through, or how many times have you fogged me this year? Well, another excellent service in the Huntsville GIS department has been so great to us.
Wonderful.
They do all of this. And we love you. So they have also set it up where all you got to do is go on our webpage, type in your address, and I update this every day. It'll tell you the last time the fog truck came through your area and how many times this year. So you can see last time it came through, how many times, and is it going to be through there tonight? So we try to cover, you know, all the things that people are interested in knowing. Of course, if they don't have internet access, they're more than welcome to call the office for any additional information.
One other thing, well, before I ask this last question, you brought some friends with you.
I did. So we are experiencing mosquito breeding in our swamps, you know, which is very common this type of year. So in this particular container right here, we actually have egg rafts of the Culex species. One female can lay 100 to 200 eggs in one raft. So those are common this type of year. This type of species of mosquito can carry West Nile virus.
Oh my.
And then in this one here, we have the Aedes vexans, which are very common this type of year. And they lay individual eggs. And in this small, there's probably about a cup's worth of swamp water here. You probably have several hundreds of mosquito larvae in there. And then this type of mosquito can also carry West Nile virus and other types of encephalitis. So this type of year, we're working very hard to get them in the water. We treat the water to where these don't emerge as adults, because once they become flight ready, it's a lot harder to keep up with them. But what's the good thing about this area is, under typical climatic conditions, these swamp areas will dry up, in the season, and not be a problem later in the year. Now, if we have a lot of rain for an extended period of time later in the season, they can, become a problem again. But this is what we spend a lot of our time doing this part of the year, is areas that we know that are heavy breeders in the spring, because we don't want these several hundred of mosquitoes to become adults that are going to have more mosquitoes.
That's right.
And then the process keeps going.
So it is a year-long
Well, we do. We have 6 heavily, active months, in the field, but most of our time is spent getting ready for each year, because we have a lot of square miles of area to cover, and what a lot of folks may not know, there's only 3 full-time employees in our program.
It's amazing all that you do with a few employees.
A lot of area to cover and residents to help. But we do the best we can. We think maybe once we educate one resident, they'll tell their neighbor and their family. Maybe that'll help us out a little bit. But and then we do hire a few temporary people to help with the fogging and stuff like that. But
well, one other thing I want to ask you about is your community partnership network.
Yes. So that's something new we kind of started last year. We were lucky enough to be chosen to be a part of a Public Health Foundation CDC project, only one of 14 in the country.
Oh, wow.
Yes, there's information about this project at the Public Health Foundation's website, but it was basically to take a lot of concepts and evaluate your program and find out areas where you can improve your capacity to provide vector control services. And I wanted to focus on mosquito control, and being such a small program with only 3 employees, I knew the most important thing we can do is focus on educating the public on how they could protect themselves, especially with these Aedes species. It's really going to come down to your 3 Ds that you practice permanently to prevent mosquito bites. So the thing is, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people have different ways that they receive information. Maybe they don't have internet, or maybe they don't watch the news. And I know everyone watches the government channel, and that's the best place to get information.
That's exactly right.
Yes, you won't get a long interview on a local news station. But anyway, so educating the folks is the best way to go. And how do you do that? With 3 people, I can't go door to door and put up door hangers. But I have neighborhood associations and community organizations that are very concerned about what goes on in their neighborhood, and they're more than happy to help distribute information, which we would not be able to do. But so what we're going to do this year, enhance our education a little bit, is we have these door hangers that we may put on your
great.
door. If we
Okay.
might just generally see something that's a problem, if the mosquitoes are a problem in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then we have our Fight the Bite brochure that'll have more detailed information, and we're going to go around and hang these on people's doors. But with the Community Partnership Network, what I'm hoping to do is expand on that, find I have quite a few partners now, but I know there's probably more neighborhood associations
Yes.
or more community organizations out there that I just don't know where you are,
Right.
that I need to find you and add you to my network. Because what I plan on doing just a few times a year, not to bombard people with information, but send out a pertinent email with information of what's currently going on and what we need to be concerned about specific to our Huntsville area. And then you can distribute that either through your community newsletter, or a lot of people use the Nextdoor social media site, which I
that's
have
been
in my
really good.
neighborhood,
That's
which is
been-
great because I send an email and then you just forward this to other people, and we can reach thousands and thousands
That's
of
exactly
people
right.
in a short time with our message.
That's right.
So if there's anybody out there that's watching today that wants to be part of my network, please call me, because this is where you're going to get the best information, timely information on
And we'll
issues.
help you too in terms of making sure that you have a list of all the neighborhood associations.
Yes, I was provided with
do
one
have
from the
that?
city
Okay,
last
great.
year, and that's what I'm working on.
Okay,
But I'm actually looking to expand on that as
That's
well.
wonderful.
And like
Okay.
I said, that's a small time investment for me, and it just filters out
That's right.
to everybody
That's
else.
right.
So that's what we really have to focus on, these grassroots educational efforts to protect our residents here locally and statewide from Zika virus or any other potential mosquito-borne illness threat that we have.
Well, we're so glad to have you in our community.
Well,
and I'll tell
thank
you
you.
what,
I'm
you
glad to
do
be here.
a great job in educating our public, and that's what we're here for, and that's
Yes.
what you're there for as well. Well, my producer is giving me the sign. So I'm so glad that you took the time to be here and to share with our viewers, because this is the beginning of the breeding season.
Yes.
And this is great information. I'm glad that you are sharing this information with us. So again, we thank you. Well, that's our show for today. Join us again as we explore in depth what's going on inside Huntsville. I'm Brenda Martin. Enjoy your day.